to load up the ammunition and grenades, the basics. Shortly after he returned, the first onslaught began. Mortars followed by a ground assault from the entire Chinese battalion. Puckett's Rangers were outnumbered almost 10-1. During the fight, Puckett abandoned the relative safety of his foxhole, moving from man to man, encouraging them in the fight, checking that the perimeter was holding. He took a grenade fragment in his left thigh, but Puckett refused to be evacuated. He was a Ranger. He led his men from the front. And over the course of the next several hours, 4 more waves of assaults came. Each time, Puckett made his rounds, passing out extra ammo and extra encouragement to rally his men. Each time, he was able to call in artillery support, sometimes danger close, to help break the advance of the Chinese soldiers. Each time, the Rangers held the hill, pushing the enemy back at times with hand-to-hand fighting. About 2:30 a.m., after more than 4 hours of near nonstop fighting, the 6th wave began. By this time, many Rangers had been killed, and those who were left were exhausted, outnumbered, and dangerously short of ammunition and grenades. Lieutenant Puckett had sustained a second wound, this time in his left shoulder. He had distributed all the ammo to his men, keeping only 8 bullets and a bayonet for himself. For the last time, Puckett called in artillery support, only to be told that the guns were supporting other besieged units. Then, 2 mortar rounds landed directly in Puckett's foxhole, tearing through both his feet and his backside and his left arm and shoulder. Puckett's Rangers had been overwhelmed, and he himself was badly wounded. He ordered one of his men, who found him on the ground, to leave him behind. But that's not the Ranger creed. A private ran for help, and soon 2 other Rangers charged back up the hill, fighting off advancing Chinese soldiers, retrieving their commander. They had to drag him down the hill, with Lieutenant Puckett reminding them and himself that he could take the pain. Quote, "I'm a Ranger." Before his men loaded him on a tank to evacuate, Lieutenant Puckett called for one final barrage on Hill 205. And the 8th Army unloaded artillery, while phosphorus on the Rangers' former position. They did not hold the hill, but the Rangers extracted a high price. Korea is sometimes called the Forgotten War, but those men who were there under Lieutenant Puckett's command, they'll never forget his bravery. They never forget that he was right by their side throughout every minute of it. And the people of the Republic of Korea haven't forgotten, as evidenced by the fact that the Prime Minister of Korea is here for this ceremony. I doubt whether this has ever happened before. I can't say that for certain, but I doubt whether it's happened before. The Americans, all Americans, like Ralph Puckett, joined in their fight. And while the enduring partnership between our 2 nations began in war, it has flourished through peace. It's testament, I think, of the extraordinary strength of our alliance. And we're joined today, as I said, by President Moon. I can't tell you how happy I am he's able to be here. And if I may, I'd like to invite President Moon to say a few words, if that is okay. President Moon.
바이든 대통령님 감사합니다. 바이든 대통령님의 초청으로 랄프 파켓 예비역 대령의 명예훈장 수여식에 함께할 수 있게 되어 매우 뜻깊습니다. 명예훈장 서훈식에 외국 정상이 참석한 것은 처음이라고 하니 대한민국 대통령으로서 큰 영광이자 기쁨입니다.
Mr. President, thank you for your words. I find it truly meaningful to join the Medal of Honor presentation ceremony for Colonel Ralph Puckett Jr., U.S. Army retired, upon President Biden's invitation. I learned that I'm the first foreign leader to ever attend a ceremony of such kind. As President of the Republic of Korea, it is a great honor and pleasure.
랄프 퍼켓 예비역 대령님은 한국 전쟁의 영웅입니다. 대령님은 205 고지 전투를 비롯한 수많은 전투에서 초인적인 용기와 리더십으로 끝까지 임무를 완수하셨습니다. 대령님과 미 8군 레이저 중대 장병들을 비롯한 참전 용사들의 희생으로 한국은 자유와 민주주의를 꽃피울 수 있었습니다.
Colonel Puckett is a true hero of the Korean War. With extraordinary valor and leadership, he completed missions till the very end, defending Hill 205 and fighting many more battles requiring equal valiance. Without the sacrifice of veterans, including Colonel Puckett and the 8th Army Range Company, freedom and democracy we enjoy today couldn't have blossomed in Korea.
퍼켓 대령님은 아까 제게 당시 한국은 모든 것이 파괴되어 있었다고 말씀하셨습니다. 그렇습니다. 한국은 전쟁의 폐허에서 다시 일어섰습니다. 한국의 평화와 자유를 함께 지켜준 미국 참전 용사들의 그 힘으로 한국은 폐허에서 다시 일어나 오늘의 번영을 이룰 수 있었습니다.
Earlier, Colonel Puckett told me that when he was in Korea during the Korean War, it was absolutely destroyed. That was true. But from the ashes of the Korean War, we rose, we came back. And that was thanks to the Korean War veterans who fought for Korea's peace and freedom. And now, thanks to their support and efforts, we are enjoying prosperity.
한국 국민들을 대표하여 깊은 감사와 존경을 표합니다. 한국 국민들은 참전 용사들을 통해 자유와 평화를 향해 전진하는 위대한 미국의 정신을 보았습니다. 참전 용사들의 용기와 희생, 우정을 영원히 기억할 것입니다.
On behalf of the Korean people, I express deep gratitude and respect to them. Through the war veterans, the Korean people saw a great soul of America that marches toward freedom and peace. Their acts of gallantry, sacrifice, and friendship will forever be remembered.
영웅들의 피로 맺어진 한미동맹은 한반도를 넘어 평화와 번영의 핵심 축이 되었습니다. 랄프 퍼켓 대령님과 용사들은 한미동맹의 단단한 연결고리입니다. 오랫동안 건강하게 우리 곁에 머물러 주시길 기원합니다. 감사합니다.
The Rock-US alliance, forged in blood of heroes, has become a linchpin of peace and prosperity on the Korean Peninsula and beyond. Colonel Puckett and his fellow warriors are a link that strongly binds Korea and the U.S. together. I pray that they stay with us in good health for a long time. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, President Moon. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't note that Ralph Puckett's service to our nation did not end in the Korean War. It did not end after his service in the Vietnam War, where he earned a second Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, 2 Brown Stars with V for Valor, and add to that, during his service, 5 Purple Hearts for injuries suffered in combat. And it didn't end. After his retirement from active duty or his induction into the Ranger Hall of Fame, it didn't end there either. When he served as the honorary colonel for the 75th Ranger Regiment, where he'd helped new generation of Rangers during their training missions. Even now, you can find him out at Fort Benning, cheering on the Rangers and letting them know he's there with them. Over his career, he mentored countless young people. He's always believed that all that mattered to be a Ranger was if you had the guts and the brains, that the standard he applied when he picked his first Ranger unit in Korea. In an army that had only recently been integrated, he chose with his team included a Black, a Latino, and Asian American members. My mother would say, God love you, man. In 2015, during the Obama-Biden administration, when the military was considering open all combat positions to women, including Rangers, Colonel Puckett let it be known that he thought women could meet the standards and said, I want to see them do it. He leads from the front. He leads by example. He leads with his heart. He's a Ranger. And that's how Rangers lead. That's how you lead. So now it is my great honor to ask for the citation to be read and to award Colonel Puckett Jr., Ralph Puckett Jr., with the Medal of Honor.
The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress, March 3rd, 1863, has awarded, in the name of Congress, the Medal of Honor to First Lieutenant Ralph Puckett, Jr., United States Army, for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty. First Lieutenant Ralph Puckett, Jr. distinguished himself by acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty while serving as the commander 8th U.S. Army Ranger Company during the period of 25 November 1950 through 26 November 1950 in Korea. As his unit commenced a daylight attack on Hill 205, the enemy directed mortar, machine gun, and small arms fire against the advancing force. To obtain fire, First Lieutenant Puckett mounted the closest tank, exposing himself to the deadly enemy fire. Leaping from the tank, he shouted words of encouragement to his men and began to lead the Rangers in the attack. Almost immediately, enemy fire threatened the success of the attack by pinning down one platoon. Leaving the safety of his position with full knowledge of the danger, First Lieutenant Puckett intentionally ran across an open area 3 times to draw enemy fire, thereby allowing the Rangers to locate and destroy the enemy positions and to seize Hill 205. During the night, the enemy launched a counterattack that lasted 4 hours. Over the course of the counterattack, the Rangers were inspired and motivated by the extraordinary leadership and courageous example exhibited by First Lieutenant Puckett. As a result, 5 human wave attacks by a battalion-strength enemy element were repulsed. During the first attack, First Lieutenant Puckett was wounded by grenade fragments, but refused evacuation and continually directed artillery support that decimated attacking enemy formations. He repeatedly abandoned positions of relative safety to make his way from foxhole to check the company's perimeter and to distribute ammunition amongst the Rangers. When the enemy launched a 6th attack, it became clear to First Lieutenant Puckett that the position was untenable due to the unavailability of supporting artillery fire. During this attack, 2 enemy mortar rounds landed in his foxhole, inflicting grievous wounds which limited his mobility. Knowing his men were in a precarious situation, First Lieutenant Puckett commanded the Rangers to leave him behind and evacuate the area. Feeling a sense of duty to aid him, the Rangers refused the order and staged an effort to retrieve him from the foxhole while still under fire from the enemy. Ultimately, the Rangers succeeded in retrieving First Lieutenant Puckett, and they moved to the bottom of the hill, where First Lieutenant Puckett called for devastating artillery fire on the top of the enemy-controlled hill. First Lieutenant Puckett's extraordinary heroism and selflessness above and beyond the call of duty were in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, his unit, and the United States Army.
Let me invite the family up. Come on, get the family up here. All of you, including the grandkids. Hey, Jack, how you doing? Hey, Chip. I'm Tony. Hey, Tony, how you doing? And in a second, you and I are going to crash a picture. Come on, the front. You guys look there. Now, Mr. President, do you mind standing here too? Is that okay? All right. Billy, come on up.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we conclude today's ceremony. I would offer Colonel Puckett, you may be 94, but I see the same grit and determination of a young lieutenant in your body and vestiture. Please join me in a word of prayer. Most holy God, as we leave this ceremony, inspire and encourage us to greater acts of service to our nation and our Army's people. Give us the fortitude to always give 100% and then some. May you bless Colonel Ralph Puckett Jr. as he joins the pantheon of heroes who have distinguished themselves through selfless acts of bravery. May his leadership and legacy be a waypoint for us to follow. Keep us all strong in spirit and give our leaders wisdom as they serve our nation's people. Bless and protect our armed forces as they preserve our precious freedoms. Keep the lamp of liberty burning bright on the United States of America, our allies around the world as well. I ask these things in your most blessed and holy name. Amen.
As warrior himself, and the Deputy Secretary of Defense. Come on, get up. You guys are getting this thing started. Maybe if there's time, walk out that, maybe John, think back.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated while the President and Vice President depart.